can get my point across. But
Maybe that last sentence that you said, I promise, maybe that goes first and then weave in everything else and condense it down.
They said to start with the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So that's the goal, right? So we start with the problem,
Okay.
right? And then we explain how we're going to help. And then what's your storybook ending? Right. So those are supposed to be the steps. And I am putting us live in our Facebook group. So if you're not in the Facebook group, it's called Customer Experience Workshop, but we are live there. So the recording will be there as well. What's your storybook ending? What is your storybook ending? Right. So that's we are live there. So the recording will be there as well. Oh, geez. What's the storybook ending? What is
Someone needs to close their Facebook.
We are live there. So the recording will be there as well. Geez. What's the storybook ending? What is
Someone needs to close their Facebook.
Live there. So the recording will be there. Oh, geez.
Melissa, you just need to mute your Facebook.
Oh, is that what it is? All right.
I'm just do mute that way you're not repeating yourself.
Okay. All right. I do this. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're still there. Okay. I'm not hearing it anymore. All right, Sean.
Okay, mine is fear of the unknown stalls people from making a move in today's real estate market. As a trained professional, my team uses proven systems and tools to streamline the process, enabling our clients to make informed decisions. Our skillful guidance is efficient, prevents costly mistakes, and ultimately puts more money in our clients' pockets.
Thoughts? I love it.
I like it.
Now I gotta embed it in.
Well, and I think that is the challenge too, right? Is how do we, the longer it gets, can we repeat it? And that's Christy was kind enough to share hers over email this morning, and so that was the conversation that we were having, right? Can you say that?
Yeah.
And are you going to say it? So right. Maybe you do, right? So I don't think there's any judgment with that. It's just, will you do it? But I love it. I love it. Erica.
So I can't necessarily take credit for these, but we had done this a couple months ago and early birds. And then I went back to our private Facebook group and found some of the top ones. So I'm going to reshare and then I can post them in the awesome. The Google sheet. I'm sorry. I just didn't get a chance to do that last night. So I'll just read two that I know were some of the favorites. One was, most people are hesitant to jump into today's volatile real estate market. By getting to know you, your wants, your needs, and your future aspirations, we can support you on a path to discovering and attaining your next perfect home. Because it was short and to the point. I think still catering though to and I'm reading them and they were some of the favorites. So, but I think it's what I was hearing Meg Dady say was being like creating one for your avatar is extremely important so that you can, navigate your divorce seamlessly, whatever it is, so that the people oh, that's me. I'm going through divorce. Most people going through divorce feel like their entire life is going to fall apart.
Right.
We help you navigate the sale process of your home so that you can focus on moving into the next chapter of your life, with freedom and ease and getting the joy back in your heart. Completely made that up on the fly. I've never said that before.
Okay. Just go back and watch that again, because that was very good.
Thank you. And then there's one more here that someone else said. And the first one was Walton. The second one was Joyce. Most people find the real estate market overwhelming and intimidating. Our methods and strategies navigate you to a successful outcome so you can give your attention to what matters most to you. And so again, they're very generic, which is great. But I'm also realizing if you're saying most people when downsizing, feel like their life is going to fall apart, it's getting that. We're yes, that's me. The person's going to raise their hand. So I will be working on this week, a couple to just so that I can jump in and people will feel like that's me. And that'll also, I'm now thinking when we go to reply to Facebook posts of I'm looking for a realtor, blah, 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 blah. Instead of yeah, that's me. I serve Tampa. It's oh my gosh, that's me. Most people going through a blah, blah, blah. Feel blah, blah, blah. They're that's my realtor. I don't need to read the rest of this navigating, 700 people that say that they're awesome. So thank you for that.
And I think that's a fabulous point, because I think we all do that, right? If you see that post on social media and they're looking for this or that, right? But why would they choose you? So I think that is a fantastic point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Susie.
I just had a question when we were talking about like defining the problem. So like, say, for example, if somebody is upsizing and that's kind of their issue, or but another person is like downsizing and that issue, like, can we like tailor the promise? Like we have more than one promise, like one for people upsizing, one for people downsizing. And then I wouldn't feel like I'd need to make it broad or too long. I could make it short and more specific. What is your opinions on that?
Well, so I'll comment and then I'll let Dan say something. I think you can do both, right? I think you can create it for each individual, like that upsizing, the downsizing, right? Selling, whatever. Or buying, whatever that is. But I also think you can have one that serves everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do think it's unique to whatever it is that you want to have happen. Does anybody else want to chime into that?
Yeah. So just kind of sharing, Susie, with you what, when we learned this material through from Donald Miller, he talked about the value of having a brand and having a consistent message, a message that you and your team and everyone repeats and they know who you are. And at the same time, we also realize that we're sometimes dealing with different types of clients. A FSBO, your message to a FSBO could be customized and be a little different from your message to an expired or first-time home buyer. So you can take that base foundational message and then tweak it a little bit so that it caters to that specific person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what Erica was saying about if it's on social media, right? If someone's saying, oh, my friend's moving or my client's moving, right? They're moving into Tampa or wherever, right? Then maybe that relocation buyer has something different too.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I do think that's the case. Okay, so I don't even know if I can say your name, so don't even make me try.
Marieste.
Marieste. Yeah, I would have destroyed it. That would have been nice. So yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, mine is kind of general. It says, in today's market, most people are frustrated with the stressful process to sell, purchase, or invest in real estate. We solve our clients' concerns by providing constant communication, market knowledge, expertise, and using proven systems and tools so they can achieve their personal, one second, I think I'm missing, their personal, financial, and home ownership goals and become our clients for life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I still going to say again that I think length,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you, if it's, and I think it's wonderful. So I'm not saying that. I'm just thinking about, right, for if you're going to put it somewhere, are you going to say that? Like, that's what I want to be thinking about. Like, what's the short and sweet of?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I have to tweet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're on the right idea. Erica, was it you that posted in the Facebook page the words?
It was me, but again, it was me, and this is me doing research. I had found those words again in the early birds. Sorry, someone is calling me. Hold on. I'm just going to silence this. So I did find it, and but I did post those words, and I think they're yes. The answer is yes. It was just somebody else, and I can't remember. I want to give credit to where credit's due, so I'll put it in the chat because I can't remember the person's name.
Well,
so
yeah, but that was a great tool though. So if you haven't finished yours, or you're still kind of tweaking it or whatever, and you're not quite sure like what direction to go in, if you go on the Facebook page, Erica actually posted like words that you could use that would demonstrate potentially like what you do or how you do it. And so it was just kind of, I thought it was a great tool for kind of getting you started.
It was Joanna Brown. Sorry, we have a lot of J's in this group.
Yeah.
I was like, Josie, Joyce, Joanna. I was like, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Joanna Brown is awesome. And she's
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
so how
Joanna.
did everyone else do? Did you work on it? I'm putting in the Facebook. I just typed it in. I didn't put the link in there. I can do that, but it's just called Customer Experience Workshop. How did everyone else do? Did anyone have any challenges?
Melissa, before jumping into that, I just wanted to share with people in the chat, there's the link again for the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
In the spreadsheet earlier today, I went through And there were some really, really good ones in there already. People had, I thought, for the most part, nailed it. And I highlighted some of those in red so that you could see those, maybe jump down to those. And here's the thing I love about this is a workshop, not a class. We're actually working here, putting things together, making things happen right now. And you have the benefit of learning from one another, borrowing from one another, tweaking from one another. And what Erica shared earlier, if you could put that in there, Erica, those 2 examples you gave earlier, those were great examples. I remember that from Early Birds before. I forget who it was that originally shared those, but they were amazing. And I built mine based on some of what I had heard there about, the fears of, making an investment in this volatile market. That's people's fear. That's their pain point. And then our solution, unique solution to that. Right. Melissa, jumping back to your question, I don't know if Deborah wanted to add something.
Yeah.
She just raised her hand.
Deborah, go ahead.
On somebody that came to speak at our market center a couple weeks ago brought up the point that we need to share Keller Williams and I don't know if everybody here is Keller Williams or not, but your brokerage and the tools that you have. So it was interesting because yes, we would come out and say, okay, this is a pain. These are the question crazy, whatever, insecurities, whatever the pain is, but to make sure that we included our systems and Keller Williams. So that's what I purposely put in on the spreadsheet this time, which I hadn't before. And that is just worth, again, masterminding on that, because I think the whole idea that we at the Pivot and we as keeping in touch with each other have that other brokerages possibly don't have, I think is definitely worth mentioning in their value proposition.
Right. Agreed.
So Melissa, now that we have a value proposition or developing a value proposition, why did we start there? Why is that important? What do we do with it now?
Well, so now this is whatever it is that you say that you're going to do, right, in your value proposition. Now we're going to build your, the idea, right, is that we build our customer experience wrapped around that, right? How do we make it stress-free? How do we make it easy? How do we help them navigate it, right? And we have to do that through every single step of the process. Right, from the time that you get the lead till 5 years after the fact, or 10 years after the fact. I met with someone today, listed a house that I sold 10 years ago to them. Right, so how do we do that? So that's really where we're going to start. And like Dan said, this is not a class, and by no means do I think I know how to do this right. Like, I'm super excited to tighten up my procedures and my systems and all of that. So anything that anyone wants to share, please do so. It's not, like I said, this is not like we have all the answers. So, but if does anyone else have anything else they want to share about your value proposition? Because it is an important piece, because if you don't know why people do business with you, then they don't know either. Erica.
I just wanted to share that even if you don't think yours is perfect, just getting your thoughts out there, because we were using Facebook a few months ago to do this exact thing. And it didn't give us, like, here we have the 3 parts. So once you're putting it in the 3 columns, I can kind of see that even though those 2 sounded very, very strong, I was like, oh, it's missing part. And so once you put it in there and maybe you're stuck, since we all have access to it, somebody might jump in and be like, hey, Erica, by the way, here's what I'm thinking. And whether they want to DM you or write in the chat or whatever it is they want to do, but don't be afraid to fail, as we say in all the other places where we practice out here and put yourself on the, I guess that area to practice, so that you cannot have to expensively practice with your client.
Yeah, I agreed. And I think that's the beauty of this spreadsheet. So Dan, you're like a rock star to make this, so that we can all see, and hopefully, by the end of this, that we all end up with our value proposition. So definitely do that, Erica. Thank you for that. That's absolutely right.
Melissa,
Jack.
before you jump to Jack,
Mm-hmm.
what should people like? What would you recommend people do with that value proposition? You talked about how that's really going to become like the cornerstone of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
How do we internalize that? I think that Donald Miller talked about writing it in a card, carrying it around a Post-it note that you walked around with. What other suggestions?
You've got to know it. That's what I'm saying. You have to know it. You have to internalize. You have to be able to say it. Are you gonna use it in your social media? Are you going to use it when you go to a networking meeting? Are you going to use it in your marketing material? But it truly is how you're going to provide your service, right? What makes you different than the other 60 plus people that are on here?
It's kind of like your calling card.
It's like your calling card. It is. It is. How are you going to treat them? And you have to know that. And it has to be genuine, right? It really does have to be who you are. Because if you're trying to take someone else's and say, oh, that's really what I want to do, but that's not your jam, then don't do that. Then just don't do that. Yeah. Jack.
We have something that we have called a commitment that we have at the very beginning of our listening presentations. In fact, we have 2 of them tomorrow. We call it the commitment, and we did this as a team probably about, I don't know, 1.5 years, 2 years ago. I can't even remember how long ago I did. So our commitment is that we will provide 7-star white glove service to you, your family, and friends. This is one of the biggest financial decisions our customers will make. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless transaction. We will explain in every detail, every step of the way, whether you are buying, selling, or investing in real estate. We pride ourselves on being a collaborative and creative team that will be with you every step of the way.
So I think that Jack, I think that is so brilliant. And the most brilliant part of it is, and I wrote it down right, that you're going to provide 7-star white glove service.
Well, I do workshops on that, and that's what we do. And it came from a client, by the way. It wasn't something that I ever said, but it was a wealthy man that we sold his house. And he said, I cannot believe you deliver 7-star service. I said, well, I thought we did 5-star service. He said, no, you deliver 7-star service. So when I went home and opened it up, he said, Google it. So when I got home, I Googled it, and it's what they talk about, what the Burj Dubai does in Dubai. And he said, he said to me, it's from Dubai. I said, well, I stayed at the Burj. And he said, well, then you should know it's 7-star service. And their example is somebody called the desk at 2 o'clock in the morning, want M&M peanuts. They went out and found them.
Right.
We left a listing appointment to see another appointment last night, and we knew they were having a cage put around their pool, and we took dinner to them. They were like, what are you doing? Wow, okay, fine. So, I mean, I think these are just the personal touches that we learn. Part of it's surprise and delight, but certainly 7-star service is what we live by. I just did a workshop with Ronnie on that, right? A little while back. So I think all of us here, I really believe all of us here, Melissa and Dan, do 7-star service. We just do it in different ways.
Agreed.
Right? But to say it verbally to somebody because they don't know what 7-star service is, if they're very taken back, which sets you apart to begin with. And steal it, everybody. Don't use it to steal it. Steal it. Don't steal it. Don't keep it to yourself.
Well, but I also think too, what it also does is that it also sets the tone now for how you build the rest of your system. Because now everything gets built into that 7-star white glove service, right? That's what we're going to do. So in the needs analysis, that's what you're going to do. Like every step of the life cycle, that's what you're doing. And that's exactly what we're talking about. That is fantastic. So if I copy it, is that all right, Jack?
Can you repeat that, Jack?
I can email it to you. Just send me an email to Silvio Rodriguez. We'll send it to you. SILVIO, Silvio Rodriguez, RODRIGUEZ. I'll put it in the chat. You guys can copy it down.
Perfect.
How's that?
Awesome.
And steal it. I'd steal it, use it. It's just what we did.
We call it R&D, rip off and duplicate. It's
exactly right. Yeah, there might be a lot of that happening. Yeah.
and that's I think what we want out of a mastermind. Everyone's contributing, everybody's getting something out of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So, all right. So Dawn, we'll take maybe 2 more and then we're going to go ahead and get started in the next step. Dawn.
Well, I was excited about mine until I heard Jack's.
Oh no, don't even say that. Don't even say that. So
now I'm going to have to tweak mine, but mine's pretty short. Selling a home can be stressful in today's market. As a trusted real estate professional, I have systems and resources in place to create a seamless process so my clients can make the next best move.
See, I think that's beautiful. I think that's awesome. I think that is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. So don't do too much to it. Joanna.
You muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to see if Jack would share that. So I forgot to take my hand down.
Oh, okay. All right. So he put his email in the chat too. So, all right. So are you guys, Erica, do you want to say one thing? Then we'll.
I was just going to also suggest that perhaps one of the pre-qual or prerequisites to creating that one-liner that the story brand guy, Don Miller, excuse me, had suggested was to create your ideal avatar, because then when you know who you're talking to, then it's easy to actually discuss the problem you're solving. And
right.
So yeah, like you see, if you actually look at who do you love doing business with, who do you like more than anything in the world enjoy doing business with, and it might be like single moms, it might be like people who are really busy, parents or whatever it is. And then that could help you solve the problem, because then you can go, what are the problems that they're dealing with? And you're like, most people, and then that'll make it easier. So just wanted to put that out there if you're kind of struggling, like what to say. If you sit quietly and you can Google like how to create an ideal avatar, and then you list everything from like where they hang out, what they eat, what their problems are, what their likes, what their dislikes, and then you create all your marketing around it. Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's a great idea. And also keep in mind that as the market evolves, changes, softens, whatever the right adjective is for whatever is happening, right? Be mindful, right, that some of this could change. So just, be thinking that the value proposition is not always set in stone, that it will likely evolve over time as the market evolves. All right. So are we ready to get started with what's going to happen today? So let's kind of go over. So what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to build our systems and start creating our standards. So just really quickly, the customer experience process, the system is this. We set expectations, we serve. So we essentially do what we said we were going to do. We survey them, right? How are we doing? We surpass their expectations. And then the last piece will be towards the end of our workshop, like, the last few weeks, is the sustain part. Because the sustain is a part of the process that only happens after they've bought their home or sold their home, right? So as we're building our steps around each part of the life cycle, and Dan's putting up the life cycle and the system here too. So as we're building that, right, so we want to be thinking about how do we set, how do we serve, how do we survey, how do we surpass? And we're going to be looking at how do we create our systems, and then what are our standards? And they're different. Your standards are the non-negotiables in your business. How do you answer your telephone? When do you work? What has to happen? You have to use a lead sheet when you pre-qualify someone on the phone, a buyer or a seller, right? What are the things that are non-negotiable? And then the system is like, what's going to happen all the way through? What emails are you going to send? What times when are the pictures going to be scheduled? When is the lockbox going to go on, right? When is the paperwork going to get prepared, right? Those are the systems, right, that maybe your assistant's doing for you. Or now if you've got a buyer specialist or the listing specialist, if you're not the rainmaker, right? What are the systems that they have to follow? That no matter who's joining your team, that everyone's doing exactly the same thing. When does it get into command? What does that look like? What information has to be entered? We get the drift, right? So yes, we do. Questions? No? Okay. All right. So the first step in the life cycle.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see it. It's like off my screen here. How quickly you respond to a lead? Is that a question? How long you keep a home on the market before you implement?
No, those were actually just like expectations.
Is there a slide with this information? Is that what Dan, is that the question? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I guess there was
Yeah.
maybe people were asking if this is on a slide, but you probably just
So all of this information is in the customer experience material, which is available through KW Connect. That you should have received a copy or a link, I think, with it, and I think we could provide that. And I don't know if Prim, if you're still on.
He said the other ladies, so it must
Jack,
be
I need to mute your.
them, have brought people in. I said, well, are they straw buyers?
Jack, you're not muted,
They
buddy.
can bring people in all day long. They don't write a contract.
Here, let me see if I can.
He said 2 people didn't even
Yeah,
respond.
can you mute him?
So they're bringing in
Yeah.
straw buyers who know exactly what they're doing. Right?
There we go. There we go.
That
Sorry,
is
Jack.
Jack is setting his expectations, folks. He's just
That's
giving
right.
us an
Yeah,
example.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
let's get real, guys.
He's all good. Yeah, he is all good. Yeah.
All right, guys. So
okay,
all of
so
this
you-
information is in Keller Williams Connect. You can search there for customer experience, and you'll get the manual. And what we're talking about is right out of the Keller Williams material. I have a copy, so you'll have a copy you can see here if you want to screenshot it. I'll put it back on in just a moment. And the screenshot will have the 5S system, again, the setting, the serving, the surveying, and the surpassing of expectations, and then the whole sustaining of the expectations.
Right.
So that's where it is.
Right.
Not everyone here is with Keller Williams, so I think that's why some folks are asking. So if you want to, I don't know how to put it to Facebook, I would offer, but
yeah, so we can put we can put the life cycle and the system in on the Facebook page. Yeah, so we can definitely share that. So so when we get ready to start, so the first part of the life cycle for a seller and for a buyer is the needs analysis. So if we talk about the needs analysis, how do we set expectations with the needs analysis? So Dan's going to put that up, right?
Yeah, and I am a little all over the place right now, so I apologize for that. Let me go ahead and change a couple settings here, because I just realized that I thought this would show when I pinned us, but let me go ahead and unpin us here. And all right, so here's the material. This is what we're going to go to. Is I shared this page earlier. Hopefully everyone can see that now. And that's the 5S model. And that, again, is information that's available in Keller Williams Connect. And another page is this right here, which is the customer experience lifecycle for sellers. There's a separate one for buyers. We're going to focus on the seller one. And there's 10 steps in this lifecycle that we're going to focus on. The needs analysis, the pricing strategy, the property preparation, the marketing strategy, the receiving of offers, negotiating and selling of the property, the actual sell, the pre-close preparation, the closing preparation, and then the post-closing. So those are the 10 steps of this life cycle for sellers. Once we're done with this, we're going to use this as a template to quickly put together the system for the buyers. We're going to focus on sellers first. Okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, lead with listings. That's what we want to do.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
I can hardly see I can hardly see it, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me do
It's
this.
so
Let me see.
small.
So it's a little hard to see, right? I'd have to make it a little bigger for you.
Authorine, I'll send you some of my reading glasses if you want, okay?
is it possible, Dan? I don't know if it works like this.
For the older eyes,
Thank you, Dan. I
Oh,
can
wait,
see it
Dan,
now.
All
Hold
right,
on,
so
Dan, is it possible for you to just, I don't know, if you just highlight that link and then put it in the chat, does that work?
yeah, I could give that a try. So
Because if it does, then
That's
we don't
better.
have,
yeah. So
Sorry, I
what
didn't mean to jump
I'll
in.
try and do that here in a second, and just want you to know that what we're going to do is we've decided that we can't do this all in one session. We're breaking this down per section, and today what we're going to focus on is the needs analysis part to help clarify the motivating reasons for people to sell and determine the seller's timetable. And what we're going to look at is ways to set expectations, how we're going to service them, and what are the steps we're going to take. And then we're going to look for ways during that phase of the life cycle to understand how we can survey how we're doing, and then find a way to surpass those expectations by surprising and delighting. Maybe something like what Jack talked about, where during the needs analysis, he brings flowers or cookies or something like that to people, and people may not expect that, so we're surpassing their expectations. And then the sustaining part really has more to do with, at the end of the cycle or at the end of the process, how do we sustain them for long-term business? So this is what this is the part we're focusing on. This is what it's going to look like. Each week we're going to focus on a different section. And Erica, I'm going to go ahead and put this link here in the chat and see if this works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we'll get it online somehow.
I think it works. I just don't know what it's called. Like, it looks like it's working. Do you know what this thing is called you're looking at?
So this is the customer experience. This is the student manual. And this is
Perfect.
page 177 of the student manual.
Excellent. I think that would be clear for everybody then.
Okay.
Put a
You're the
link
best.
if you connect in there too.
Yeah, and Dan, can you go to page 857?
Page 57, yes.
But actually, you know what? Wait, hold on. If you're in the way back, you're in the very back of the book.
Yes.
All right, hold on. It's back there too.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the setting, this page?
Yes.
I thought so. Okay.
So this is kind of where you want to start, and I just want to kind of hit all of these, and then we're going to kind of talk about what to do. So in the set part of the process, right? How do we set expectations for the needs analysis? What does that look like for you? How do we exceed? A lot of times this is just wrapped around communication, right? How well do we communicate? And then in the serve part, because we'll hit all of these, but let's flip to the serve part.
Okay.
In the serve part is where you're going to start setting your standards. So what are your general standards wrapped around the needs analysis? How are you going to communicate? What's your mindset and image standards, right? How do you dress, right? What does that look like? Technology standards, and then your standards for your vendors and your teams. And you should have standards for your vendors and teams, because as we move through the process, right, they're going to come in contact with home inspectors and title companies and whomever else you refer to, lenders. They need to be servicing your clients in exactly the same way that you do. So you have to have those conversations. Right, next one, please.
And survey.
And then survey, right? When are you going to ask them how you're doing? In the needs analysis, are you really going to ask them how you're doing? Probably not. They don't really know you yet. So there might not be an answer to the survey part on the needs analysis, but as you start moving through the process.
Well, Melissa, wouldn't you say though that even in the survey, in the needs analysis, you might say, so how do you feel about this? And where you're checking in, you're doing almost like trial closes, but you're in the process, you're really like surveying them. Does this feel good? Are you comfortable with this?
Maybe, but the survey part of it is how are you performing for them? Right? Are you doing the things that you said that you were going to do? So maybe it is checking in, but yeah. So we're probably not asking for testimonials and all of that stuff in the needs analysis. You might be asking for referrals when you do your lead sheet, right? And then surpass. We absolutely have the opportunity to surpass someone's expectations in the needs analysis, right? How do we communicate? What kind of questions are we asking? How do we thank them for the opportunity to work with them prior to getting there, right? Is there a pre-listing package, right? All of those types of things have the opportunity to surpass someone's expectations.
So the goal then, Melissa, is through each step of the life cycle to basically go through this process and kind of build this into a system.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's now's really the time to start talking about the system. Is that right?
Yep. So now
All
let's
right, so-
talk about.
All right, so let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to give people a quick overview of what we're going to do and what it's going to look like, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to do this and do it in about 15 to 20 minutes, at least get us started so that we have this ready to roll. So I'm going to share with you a couple other screens real quickly. And what we're going to do is work off of this sheet. You might have seen this before. Let me make it a little bit smaller so you can see the whole thing here. And these are the activities that we talked about, this pre-listing activities, the need analysis, and the other 9 activities that we talked about all the way to post-closing. And we're going to create a timeline, and this is what it's going to look like. And this example I'm going to share with you next is an example not from the customer experience, but from a coaching, a training model. But it'll give you an idea of what this is going to look like eventually, where we actually have key steps and activities. Like here in this case, this is the key mentoring and coaching activities, who's responsible for them, when they'll happen, how far you are into completing those things. So if you're 50%, you'll see how that updates automatically. If this is completely done, so forth, and it'll update automatically here. And we can use this tool to build our systems. Now, I'm not saying that we have to use this, but this is going to be a good tool, even if you use Command or some other database. You can work off of this in a shared format with your team, have people pour into it or plug into it, and then what you can do is plug this into Command or some other system if that's the system that you want to use to run your business out of. So before I go any further, I just want to see if anyone has any questions about that.
Erica.
Okay.
I'm sorry if my jaw is dropping and I'm drooling at the moment. I'm just in like total awe. What, did you create something like this you did that, Dan?
I did not create that. I R&D'd a little bit. It was a different application, but it makes sense for us to be able to use that.
So you're going to give us access to something like this that we can work on together?
Yeah.
And we're not paying, guys. Are we kidding?
Hey, guys.
I'm done.
Dan, you're being way too humble here.
Yes.
Okay, that's from project management. I know this because I was in civil engineering and we use schedules to monitor a project. That is a gigantic, monumentous thing. What you did was amazing. You're very humble, and I just want you to know I applaud you. Great job.
Well,
I think we all do. Thank you.
Guys, look, my whole goal is to just make your business better, simple. I hopefully when you use the tools, you'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll help out Dan too. That's great. Yet, it's a really cool tool. I see someone said, I use Microsoft Project. No, I just found this spreadsheet and I just kind of reapplied it for our purposes. Right. And here's what we're going to do, just to kind of take it to the next level. I'm going to share my screen again. Is we're going to build this out, and I'm a little concerned about how this is going to work out because too many chefs in the kitchen. However, what I realize is that we could use the same tool to help you build a system that you can create a replicatable system for working with every customer through each of those steps that we just talked about. So that takes me to this other copy, and I want Prim, who helps me out, to just get acknowledged here for a moment, because Prim is the one. I need to find it right now. Where did I do it? Prim, I might need your help to find it again.
That one.
This one.
Oh, I think that's not the.
That's not the one. That's not the timeline one. All right, I may have closed it inadvertently. Okay, that's the coaching one.
Isn't anyone thinking of a beautiful mind?
Okay. All right, here it goes.
Mind.
All right, so here what Prim did for us is, you might remember Ronnie DiCarlo had shared with us some information from NAR that there's some 236 steps that realtors take with every transaction to get it from beginning to end. And what Prim did for us is she took those steps and broke them down into these sections: the needs analysis, the pre-work, pricing strategies, and so forth. And these steps include things like contact the property owner and make appointments with the seller for a listing presentation. And then the next step might be send seller confirmation of listing appointment and call to confirm. And then the next step might be to, actually that looks like a repeat of that one. At some point then you need to do the research for the appropriate sampling of currently listed comparable properties. So here are all the steps. Now you have all of these steps already. And what I'm thinking, Melissa, in the interest of time, what we probably need to do is maybe chunk this down even a little bit smaller and just talk about this first section. Now, I think I have a link that I put in the chat earlier that shows this information. So hopefully everyone has this already. Can someone verify that you have access to it and you can at least see it? It may not be the editable copy, but I think it's a copy that you can look at.
Are you talking about this Google sheet we're looking at right here? You're asking if we have a copy of this in our
Yes, it should have been put in the chat earlier. It was put in the chat earlier.
I didn't see it, but I can go to the beginning. Oh wait, value proposition.
It's in the chat. Yeah, it's in the chat.
I don't.
All right, I'm gonna try and put it in the chat one more time so that everyone can find it again.
Yeah, because all
You know what, Dan? Actually, when you do that, what I would do is actually make it so that people can only, oh yeah, view. You did it already. Cool. Don't make it so that people can edit it. This way we can all copy and paste and make our own version. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking we would do, because again, the whole goal is to just have something that's going to be of value to you. And if I save it as in view format, you can make a copy and just have your own editable copy. But we can kind of work collaboratively together to identify what these different steps are. So for example, when I close this out again, the first step might be to contact the property owner, set the appointment. Then the next step might be to confirm your listing appointment. The next step might be send AM card with brownies to people as a way to surprise and delight them during that step of the process. So it's to build this up so that we can start coming up with a system that we can follow. And then what we will do is create this timeline, just like you saw in the previous one, where we kind of see how things flow together. So it's more than a checklist. We actually say, okay, this is an activity that needs to be done at this time.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking we're going to do. And this is where things may get a little bit, as we kind of figure out how to work through this. What I'm thinking that we would do is I would have an editable copy that, maybe Melissa and Prim, who helped put this all together, and I can kind of work off of and put in people's input of like, what needs to be happening in this step of the process. And then what needs to happen, let me make this a little smaller. So it's in the next step of the process, and the needs analysis, because here are the things that, according to NAR, we're supposed to be doing. And what other things do we need to be doing, or are we doing, or could we do that would help improve our business, help improve the experience for our clients? Because the whole point is to have basically, to what Melissa said, we have standards, and this is the standard because we're setting our process. And then now we have a system, which is this timeline. And we now know what has to happen first, what has to happen second, what happens simultaneously, and what happens to happen before something else can happen sequentially.
All right. But the next part of that too is that if this has to happen, then what does that mean? If it's, how is it going to happen, right? How are you going to confirm your appointment? Is it confirmed via text? Is it confirmed via email, right? What does that email say? Is the email going to say the same thing every single time, right? It's going to have a format. It should just be a copy and paste, right? Everything just, right.
And here's the kind of a cool thing about being able to use this tool is that one can actually put like hyperlinks in here. And I'm not going to get into that, but I think I'll end up doing it myself and then being able to show people how it can be done, so that you can have a hyperlink to maybe a letter, like a form letter, or a hyperlink to a text or something like that. So all you have to do is like click the link, it takes you to the text, cut and paste the text, and it just send it out automatically.
Right.
Or take you to if part of your system is you always send an AM card with brownies. You click the link, takes you to the AM card landing page where you can go ahead and send everything. You set it up so that now you or your assistant or someone else on your team has a process. And again, you don't have to use this tool, but it's a really nice tool. It's free. It's something that you can then build into Command or some other CRM if you'd rather work out of some other CRM. But this is a good starting point, and it's a good place for us all to be able to work collaboratively to pull this together.
And it's also a fabulous tool for just documenting your file, right? Did you do everything that you said you were going to do, and when did you actually do it? Because by the time we're done, you're going to have absolutely everything in there.
Precisely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So if I said that this was going to be something that was going to it's going to take this, or I made this appointment on this day, and it's it takes a day to do that. And I know that, by the way, this is kind of a cool function of this spreadsheet is I can say like the week that it's in, and right now this is week number 18 of the year, by the way. I know that because I saw that earlier. It automatically jumps us over to actually week 20. So there we are. It automatically tracks the day. So we can see that here we are. This is today, the 18th. This is when we said we're going to do this on Friday. And if we've completed that task, we can just say that it's done. And this is a good way for our team to communicate with one another, so you can actually see the progress of each file, for example.
Right. So Deborah actually just posted that she said, my husband's made a list on Command. Would be nice to compare and tweak with his checklist. I would love to see your list in Command as well. And how did you do, what does that look like? Because I think that it is going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
So Deborah, if
I'd like us to share
a way to share that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can email. I have Dan's email, so I can just end up seeing what we can do about sending it to him, and then he can forward it to you if you like.
Okay.
Well, what I was going to suggest is we go ahead and, again, Facebook is another great tool where everything can get put into, and we can work through Facebook. So here's my suggestion, because I wanted to at least introduce this so people could see and hopefully you see the value in doing this, and again, in like working together. And what I'd like to do is take a moment to, I think really it's going to involve a little pre-work to get the most out of this, because there's only so much we can do in 40 or 45 minutes in each section. And these first two areas or sections are relatively short. The needs analysis part and the pricing strategy part. This property preparation section is actually a lot longer. You'll see there's a lot more tasks there.
Right.
And some of those tasks are tasks that you, for your business, may or may not do. And we just want to refine this and make this of value to you. So my suggestion is that we start really small. Maybe we'll just look at the pre-work section today in 10 minutes. And what we would do is just add a row. If there's another section that we need to, something else that we need to add in here. And I believe that the way this works is that really, in order to like add something else, we actually have to copy and paste into a new row.
So can I ask a question too on the spreadsheet? Because I'm not a Google kind of girl. I'm not a spreadsheet girl. I'm the high I on the disc scale, so this is like way like not my thing. But you said that you sent it to us so we could view it. So someone said you could copy it and then we could edit it. How do you copy it?
So to copy it, you can go here under File and make a copy.
Oh.
Yep. And then when I copy it, I actually named it as my name. Just
there you go.
Even though it went right to my Google.
Yeah.
Wait, where did you go? Oh, File. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Make a copy. All right, cool beans.
All right, guys.
And
so I figured again today, I really thought this was really going to be an opportunity to just introduce this to you, give you an idea. Hopefully you see the value in doing this, see the value in kind of coming back together to work on this collaboratively. And again, since no one's ever really done a workshop around this, we're open to suggestions on how to really, do this. I'm open to suggestions. How do we do this in a way that adds value and isn't, that's actually kind of, fun? for 40 minutes where you feel like you're creating something that's worthwhile.
Right. Susie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of with you, Melissa. I'm not a pro on the spreadsheets either. I was asking in the chat how you would use it for multiple clients. I know several people were generous and gave some input, but I guess I still don't quite understand. Do you mind showing, Dan, how you'd put more clients onto the spreadsheet?
So the best way to do that, if you wanted to use this spreadsheet for each client, like for now, I think really the whole goal is just to have a system. You're creating one system for everyone. And then what you would do is on the bottom, you can make a copy of, you can either have a separate copy for each person and you would just save it by their name, like client, Sally, or client Tommy, and client Bobby. And you just save a copy under each person's name. If you wanted to keep this all in one file though, down here, let me close something here.
Yeah, Dan, I think it would be a lot of Google Sheets versus making one for sellers, one for buyers. And maybe if you're like a large team, like I'm not, but if you're a large team, then maybe one for sellers, like active sellers, one for active under contract sellers, one for closed sellers, so that you could see where you are in the process. And but if you create a Google sheet for every single transaction, your eyes are going to be really tired. I think at the bottom where it says seller timeline, buyer timeline, naming it like, John Smith seller under contract, John Smith, not a John, Erica Siegel seller under contract, and then having just 3 different sheets.
Yeah, so right here you can again copy each sheet and make a duplicate of that spreadsheet. I don't know if you can see that here. And then what you could do is just rename each one of these by client. So you can actually rename that to Erica, and then Susie, and then create another copy and call that next copy, create a duplicate and call that next copy Melissa.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's how you would do it.
Yeah, and I think over time you're gonna have to manipulate that in some way, right? Because how many buyers or sellers, right, are you working with? I think there's there's probably maybe eventually that gets transferred into command in some way or whatever.
Yeah,
Erica.
So again, the goal is I want you to have I don't want you to become Google experts or spreadsheet experts. But I do want you to be able to create, to use this and again, work collaboratively. And even if at the end of it, all we do is just kind of hand this to you or like come up with something that we all work on together, like maybe we're the ones, or I'm the one with a couple other people editing it. And then you can, once you get your copy, you can decide what you're going to delete from what we put in there, or you'll see how you can change the things there and add different tasks to yours, and then find a way to track it.
Right. Leah.
Yeah, so I'm curious why this cannot be just put into a smart plan, or somebody uses like Brivity an auto plan or an action plan. And then, so is there any benefit to doing it like this as opposed to putting it as a smart plan?
No, I think it's just whatever works, right? Yeah. Whatever works for you. So like I use Top Producer, and I have plans in Top Producer, right, that have times, and I'm slowly but surely moving over to Command, moving those things over to Command, right? So whatever tracking system you want to use, this is just your way, some way to track it, right? So maybe even just taking this list and starting to build on it, and then whatever you build on, transfer into whatever it is that you're doing. So yeah, Miguel, is it Miguel?
Well, actually, it's Janine. We're here together, so.
Okay. That's what I thought. That's why I was like, "How is that Miguel? You don't look like a Miguel."
Yeah. Well, we have I have him on my iPad, and he's in this computer, but we just.
Oh, got it. Okay.
One audio. Yeah. So Miguel started putting something very, not that detailed, but similar, because we learned from I think it was a sales book, where this agent had put all the activities, and he had put up the time that each one would take and how much would that cost. And so if it was entering a listing in the MLS, 45 minutes. So my hourly rate is $100. So entering the MLS, the listing in the MLS end up costing $75. So when you put it down, you show it to the client, every single thing that you do has a price. And then they realize that, oh my gosh, it's $15,000 worth of work. And so they don't, they don't tell you, oh my gosh, this is, you're charging an arm and a leg for 6 or 7, whatever percentage you charge. So that was very helpful for us.
Yeah, that's a great way to demonstrate value, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people don't realize the amount of work that we do, in helping them sell their house or buy a house. So Dan, did you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as far as, I really want to be able to make progress between now and next week. And I want to make this easy so that people will do it. Because I figure if we try and take too big of a bite, people are going to feel like this is too much. And really, this is the only homework that I'd like people to do between now and next week. Let me just find that spreadsheet again. There it is between now and next week. Is this the right one? No, that's the mentoring coaching one. Let me find the other one. Is there, okay. And it looks like someone has already started to do this. I added a couple things, and all I'd like you to do is just come to each row, wherever you wanted to add something. You're going to go ahead and copy the row, and then come down and just insert a row above or paste.
Dan, we're not seeing what you're doing.
Oh, you're not seeing what I'm doing. Okay,
No.
share screen. All right, I'm glad you
No, and
said
I think
something.
you're in the wrong spreadsheet. I see the mentoring coaching timeline. Is
All
that
right,
the one you wanted us to
great.
see?
So I see what happened. Okay, give me just a second. All right, let me get back to
Sorry,
the right.
Dan.
All right. So, all right. So do you see it now?
It's really.
Yes. You
Okay.
want us to see the customer
There we go.
experience,
Yes.
seller and buyer timeline? That's the other thing.
Yes, exactly. All right. So
Mhm.
here for the seller timeline, and I just want to keep this simple, is if you want to change something, copy a row, and then you're going to come in and insert a row above or below the one you are, and then you're going to just paste it in here by right clicking and paste. Okay. So hopefully that was easy enough.
Yep.
You just copy, insert a row, paste it. And then you're going to just change whatever the task is.
Okay.
And maybe the task is do pre-qualification, pre-qualify. And just write down what those tasks are that you would do, for pre-work. And just do the pre-work section. And if you have time, go ahead and do the needs analysis section. And what I'll do is this is my homework too, is I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to just kind of build this out. And don't worry about the stuff on the right here. Just focus on the tasks. And once we get the tasks, then we can kind of get the other part. It'll all be, I think, come a lot faster and a lot easier once we get that first step done, and just start playing with it a little bit. And whether if this isn't your lane, and you have someone, an assistant or a operations director or administrative assistant that can help you with it, get them to do that. Or you can just get you have a kid that's computer savvy, go ahead and get them to do it for you.
Right. And be thinking about every single step that you take. Right. What is the smallest of details is what needs to show up here, because that's the only way that you duplicate it over and over and over again. So what are your messages? How do you do it? When do you do it? But every little detail of what you do. And if you really sit down and think about it, you do a lot. Erica, and then we're going to wrap up. Erica.
Sorry, I was in another window and you have to find the thing. Okay. I'm just going to say, for those people who might be a little, oh my gosh, I'm not a C personality. I'm freaking out on how to use a Google sheet, whatever. If you can break it, it's if you're with Keller, it's like Command. If you're not, and you've ever used Google anything, there's a way, and Dan, maybe you could just show it quick. I was just tracking that if you start typing in this and you're like, I hate what I wrote, I need the original thing back, or the last 5 things suck or whatever, you're not interested in them, you can go to file, go to version history, and then you can see like your version history from yesterday, the day before that. But I just want you to know that you can't break this. So if you want to just go in and try to play with it, it's there, and it's not going to, you can't break it. It's not.
Good to know. Good to know. And Dan, you can put the link in the Facebook page as well.
I believe so. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe create a shared copy where we can have multiple people kind of contribute and work collaboratively on it. And it probably will get a little messy, but then we can kind of clean it up. And I suspect that when Gary Keller does his masterminds or did his masterminds, he probably got a whole bunch of information and insight from all these folks that were doing some amazing things. And then Gary kind of synthesized everything, kind of figure out how to pull it all together. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get something, and it'll be a little bit messy, but then I'll come back and clean it up and kind of pull it together in a cohesive way as much as possible. And we'll do that section by section. And throughout each step of the process, we're going to apply the 5S model. We're going to look at how we're setting expectations, define the steps we're going to take, how we're going to serve people, look for opportunities to survey people or kind of get our finger on the pulse of how we're doing, and then look for opportunities to surprise and delight and surpass people's expectations.
Yes. Awesome. Lisa.
I just want to say, Dan, you're just over the top amazing. I mean, I love being able to capture all of our process to the systems. And that's what I think if we don't get, I would remind everybody, don't get so caught up in the Google sheet. It's just we're trying to document the processes, and then the systems are going to ultimately follow. So I am just saying, this is phenomenal work. I just got to say thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that. And for all the folks for whom this is like not your jam, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the spreadsheet. Instead, get on Facebook, put down your comments about like, okay, here's my stuff. Just write it out. And then someone else will cut and paste and help put it all together. So we can kind of, again, build this together.
This is Denise with Keller Williams. How are you? How are you? I'm fine. I am so sorry I missed your call. I was in the middle of another one.
Okay.
Trying to manipulate two just didn't work. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. All right. So guys, yeah, don't worry about this Excel spreadsheet or the Google Drive sheet. The most important thing is that you get your steps written down, put them in Facebook, put them in, an email someplace, and just get them somewhere where we can start kind of looking at them. And then we'll just kind of, have someone else for whom this is like their thing, help build this for everyone.
Right. So go to the Facebook page, make sure you're utilizing it. Let's have conversation on there. And like Dan said, go put everything in there. If you have anything, if you have forms that you use, if you have email templates that you use, share some of that information so that we all don't have to kind of go and recreate the wheel.
Yeah. And I think probably what I'm going to do, just to keep things simple, is I'm probably just going to put a shared Google document in the Facebook page where people can go ahead and it'll be shared. So you can all kind of put your steps in for just that one section for the pre-work, and then create a separate one just for the next step, the needs analysis, so that we can kind of start seeing what the steps are in the process.
And
guys,
Christine, and I'm sorry, Christine, can we share our surprise and delight ideas? Yes, please share those. And Louise had a great one. If you didn't see it in the chat, she had a $600,000 listing last night because when she did her pre-qualification on the phone, she asked him what he liked to eat, and he liked peanut M&Ms, I think is what she said. And she bought him a box, and she had a $600,000 listing. So rock on. That's what we're talking about. That is awesome. So yeah, please share that, because I think all those little things are going to really make a difference for all of us.
Dan and Melissa, will the chat be saved and posted on the files section again? Because that's really helpful.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, really quickly, Christine, and we're going to wrap up. And I so appreciate you guys' time. I mean, gosh, I'm so excited, and I hope you are too. So
I also heard of an agent locally in the Hudson Valley that used to bring a money tree to her listing presentations, which was really cute. And they were like $5, and she'd get them at the florist and put a bow on it, and she always got the listing.
That's awesome.
She brought money, like the actual money attached to the tree.
No, there's a tree that you can get at a florist. It's called a money tree.
Does it have money on it though? Oh, okay.
The Asians use it a lot. Yeah.
Here's the money tree.
Yeah, Erica.
So if we're going to be sharing any, I already posted it in Facebook, but if you share any links on Facebook, it doesn't like when you redirect them. Sorry, I'm going to get myself to not be blurred so you can see this. It doesn't like when you, Facebook doesn't like when you direct it to another link. So if you're going to share something, like I forgot what this thing is called, but like I put like the phrase, and then I said, click on the link below. So Dan, when you're sharing stuff, because we might not see it, it's going to hide you. Facebook wants to keep you like in their home. So I put customer experience, seller and buyer timeline, original template below. And then in the comments, I put that. So when you're sharing, or when Prim or Melissa, anyone is sharing something and they want us to see, check out this YouTube video, don't put the YouTube video in the post, because most of us probably will never see it. Say like, here's an example of what we were talking about, like, you know, in those, and then you can pick that pretty background of whatever you want and then click below to get it. I hope that makes
All right, good
yeah.
to know. Good to know. Okay. Awesome.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great one.
Thank you guys.
Have a great day, everybody.